Hello, dear students. Welcome back to the social science class. We are studying the second chapter in geography, that is Indian physiography. So far in this lesson, I've explained to you about the first two physical features of our country, India, that is the northern mountains and the northern Great Plains. Today, we'll be studying about the third and the fourth physical division of India, that is the Peninsula Plateau and the coastal plains and islands. The Peninsula Plateau is the largest physical divisions of India. Among the four, this is the largest and it is the oldest land mass, and it belongs to a part of the Gondwana land. So it lies to the south of the Great Plains and it occupies about 16 lakh square kilometers. It is roughly triangular in shape and its apex is formed by Cape Kanyakumari in the southern extremity. If you see the map of India, you can see the Peninsula Plateau is triangular in shape and it is largest as well as the oldest land mass. It is bounded by many hills and plateaus, namely the Aravali, Vindhyas, Satpuras, Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats, Chota Nagpur ranges, Deccan Plateau, Malwa Plateau, etc. So you see children, the physical division keeps on changing. Northern mountain, it was different. Only there were different ranges of mountains. Then we studied about the Great Plains, the northern Great Plains, wherein plain was there, the land was flat. Now the Deccan Plateau is also different. Many hills and plateaus are found here. The Aravali ranges, they are the oldest fold mountains and it lies to the northwest of India. It lies to the northwest of the Peninsula Plateau. And in that, Guru Shikhar is the highest peak and it is on Mount Abu Hills of the Aravali ranges. What is the height? 1772 meters. The Vindhya range, it flanks the northern edge of the Narmada Valley. The Vindhya mountains, you can see, it is just above the Narmada Valley. The Satpura range runs in an east-west direction south of the Vindhyas in between the Narmada and the Tapi rivers. Okay, so next we see about the Western Ghats. They are a continuous range of mountains running parallel to the west coast of India, that is from Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. They are also known as the Sahyadris. They are very steep on the western side and gentle on the eastern side, that is the Western Ghats. Bhorghat, Talghat and Palghat are important passes across the Western Ghats. Passes means what, children? Passes means in between the mountains, roads will be there, passage will be there. South of the Palghat gap, the Western Ghats continue as the Anai Malai or Annai Malai, the Palani and the Cardamom or Ilai Malai hills. Anamudi, that is 2695 meters, is in the Anai Malai hills and it is the highest peak in South India. Guru Shikhar is the highest peak in northern part of the Deccan Plateau and in the southern part Anai Mudi. The Eastern Ghats run almost parallel to the east coast of India. So the Western Ghats parallel to the western coast. Eastern Ghats, they run parallel to the eastern coast of India. And they extend from the Mahanadi Valley in the north towards the Nilgiri Hills in the south, where they join the Western Ghats. They are lower than the Western Ghats and they are not continuous. The highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is Armakonda. Then we see that the Deccan Plateau is bounded by Satpura and the Vindhyas in the northwest, the Western Ghats in the west, and the Eastern Ghats in the east. The Mahadev and the Michael ranges in the north, the Chota Nagpur Plateau, it lies in the northeastern part of the peninsula. Let's see some of the differences between the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats. Eastern Ghats receives less rainfall, whereas Western Ghats receive heavy rainfall. Eastern Ghats are broader, Western Ghats are narrower. Eastern Ghats are far away from the sea and the Western Ghats are closer to the sea. Now let us study about the importance of the Peninsula Plateau. So now Peninsula Plateau is rich in minerals. Varieties of minerals are found, thick forest and biodiversity. It has influence on the southwest monsoons and it is covered with black soil which is suitable for agriculture. So the Western Ghats are even the birthplace of many South Indian rivers. And these rivers, children, you know, they are useful for what? Yes, for the generation of hydroelectricity. It is also well known for many hill stations. One example is Ooty. Let us now study about the fourth physical division of India, that is the coastal plains. So the plateau of Peninsula Plateau is fringed by the coastal plains on either side, and it extends from the run of Kutch in the west to the delta of the river Ganga in the east. The coastal plains, as you can see in the map, children, it can be divided into two parts. That is the western coastal plain, that is towards the western side, and the eastern coastal plain, that is towards the eastern side. Let us study about the first one, that is the western coastal plain. It lies between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. The sea towards the western side of India is the Arabian Sea. It extends from the run of Kutch, that is from Gujarat to Kanyakumari. It is narrow, steep and rocky. It can be divided into three parts. Which are they? The Konkan coast, which lies to the south of the Gujarat plain. It extends from Daman to Goa. Secondly, the Karnataka coast, which extends from Goa to Mangaluru, and the Malabar coast, which extends from Mangaluru to Kanyakumari. Next, we learn about the eastern coastal plain. This extends from the north of river Subarnarekha to Kanyakumari. See, both the plains they meet where at Kanyakumari. It lies between the Eastern Ghats and which is the sea towards the east, children? Yes, the Bay of Bengal. It is broader than the western coastal plain. Many rivers of South India flow across the plain and they have formed deltas, that is the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri. These rivers flow across the plain, that is the eastern coastal plain. Traditionally, the eastern coastal plain is divided into two parts, that is the northern Sirkar, which lies to the north of river Krishna, and the southern part, which is called Coromandel coast. Some lagoons are formed in the coastal plains, such as Lake Chilka, Lake Pulicat, and Lake Kolleru, that is salt water lakes. Now let us study about the importance of the coastal plains. The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors which help in carrying on foreign trade, that is export and import of goods is carried through waterways. They are Kandla, Mumbai, Marmagova, Kochi, Vishakhapatnam, Kolkata, etc. The coastal plains are useful for fishing, shipbuilding, agriculture, and also the production of salt. Many beaches are found along the coast, and children, beaches means it attracts the tourist. The backwaters are useful for navigation. You can see there are some differences between the eastern coastal plain and the western coastal plain. Lastly, let us study about the islands of India. There are about 247 islands in India. Of these, 204 are in the Bay of Bengal and 43 are in the Arabian Sea. The Andaman and the Nicobar Islands are in the Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep Islands are in the Arabian Sea, and they are formed by corals. So we are not only, our boundary is from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, but even it extends up to the islands, that is the Andaman and the Nicobar Islands and also the Lakshadweep Islands. So with this I end today's class, children. Hope you have understood. Thank you. Take care and have a nice day.